What'd you do today? I put my mind 100% on steps, and then you go to sleep, and when you sleep, you're like, a vegetable, left me a cookie. That's not cookie. But that fire meal is like can of worms. You take a fire meal off, you got to grow fire meal somewhere. I would say there's a lot to do, just knowing in right order where to start. I'm kind of doing a favour for my friend. It's a slightly different job to what I used to. Now if you know, I do this job style all the time. I should be around 3 weeks. So the job, it's rather large. So all the walls, they have to be rendered, coping stones cut in all the way down, fully LEDs both sides potentially. All of that's going to be with balustrade because they want legless balustrades. The fall is that way, but there won't be any water for it to drain away through the balustrades because the balustrade is going to be legless. I don't even know, frameless, you know. That's going to block any water, so the aim is to create aqua channels, and the first tile is going to be facing the opposite way, pretty much like a fall one way and an end bit fall that way, so all the water can go in aqua drains. And so the first job pretty much will be these steps, which also can be with LEDs, and I'm going to set it all up, dry fit it, dry cut it, LED profiles, drivers. There's a lot to do, but the job's going to be nice. All of that's going to be rendered as well. Then what I've got to do else is tidy up pretty much a lot. I mean, the joints could be 3 mil, but there's 4 mil, there's 5 mil. But once it's grouted, it should look nice. All this end is going to be a raised planter all the way to the end. Also, it's going to be cladded possibly with porcelain or render, and LED profiles with LED lights. What I got here is I'll take that up and tidy that all up. So really what that wants to be core drilled. I mean, everything else looks good. Tidy up possibly that corner. There's a doggo. Hello. So I've got a feeling all this can be Venetian fencing. And then what else I've got to do here, possibly tidy up all this pile. Potentially there's going to be another path that leads from the steps all the way there. All in all, if weather is nice and good, I would say around 3 weeks. So also what I've got to do is pave this area, but obviously somehow, because we don't have enough tiles, we'll have to purchase another pack, which obviously is going to be a different batch. So I've got to kind of decide where the break point going to be on there, because it's going to be a different batch. Fall at the moment is that way. I can come with the fall more or less probably up to the manhole just before he goes above dam course, or just behind that. I'm not sure 100% yet. I've got to level and measure up, and then the fall will carry on all the way here, and then somehow I've got to work out my falls there. I think I'm going to go with the porcelain or this area there, because that garage is going to be knocked down, so there's no point doing the steps or anything. So as long as I've got all of up to this point, and take it from there. So rendering wise, what I don't usually like is when you build the block work on top of existing kind of wall, because things like this can appear, crack lines. Hopefully should be okay, adding some reinforced mesh on it. But the first job of it all is, of all of this job, I would say there's a lot to do, just knowing in right order where to start. So because my access always going to be around there with the ramp, so I'm not going to use this as an access. So the first job what I'm going to do is these steps. Dry cut it first, dry fit it first, and then fully set it. Then possibly I'm going to move on to doing the top area. Not sure yet. This later stage can be a hot tub. Possibly these going to extend retainers. There's got pipe there for mains to be pushed through, I hope. So just to finding out which way to start the best. All in all this should take me about 3 weeks, and I'm in beautiful Bournemouth. Fan down, nice weather, birds chewing, nice neighbours, not many neighbours about. That's the porcelain I've got. The porcelain is 1 metre by 500, so got to scratch my head for a minute just to decide which way and what is what, because the steps are not made for that porcelain, so I've got to alter it and do my best to avoid any slivers. But most likely best way forwards for me is to do all full corners. I'm going to do L-shaped corners, do them corners, then somehow measure, trim. Top step more or less is 2 meters, but I got a feeling that's 2.2 visually. 500 is not going to stretch there, so my 500 is going to come here. So first I was going to start here and run up to about here. Unfortunately there's going to be a little cut. Or do I do it that way? Nah, I've got to do them 1 meter, and then 500 stretches to about here. Yeah, so there's a lot of thinking to do, but I'm confident it's going to look amazing and stunning. It looks worse than it is. These steps, it's going to take a lot more time of all the job to do. So what I usually try to do with all my jobs is start from the hardest part, never start from the easiest part, because the easiest part, just the easiest part really, isn't it? Once the hardest part, longest part is out of the way, should be smooth sailing. I need to tidy up the steps. Any waste, any high spots like this, needs to chisel it off with the electric broom, and it's just going to be a lot easier to set up dry fit. Girls just want to have fun, so I measured all those steps, and some steps are different width to the others. Top step is 350, 310, 300 and 305. So here's what I've got to do. So my tiles are 500 in width. What I've got to do now is, if that is 350, then let me put you on the stand. So in theory 370, 380 plus profile, which pushes to 390, and overhang 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 40mm overhang after the LED profile. And the next steps can be different. All fun. And we have a first problem. This is why you should always think 10 steps ahead before you're setting up the steps. Because now what happened is I've got to think next level, because it won't fit. Looks lovely. So what I've got is, I've got 440 plus 20 plus 10 plus 10 of LED profiles leaves me about 50mm overhang. But here's one big problem. Looks lovely. Looks lovely. But it doesn't. It won't work like this. So now that top step will end up being 3 tiles rather than 2. And 2 would be ideal. What can I do? Let me show you the problem. I could have carried on now with the second step, but I can't. So let me get my ruler. That's my table saw. Sometimes it's easier to cut on this type of thing rather than using a proper table saw. But hey, so here's the problem I have. So it's about 90mm overhang from the block. Obviously by the time I add my 20mm porcelain, 10mm adhesive plus 10mm profile, that gives me about 50mm overhang. Lovely. Same at the front. Here's the thing. I got no space. I got no space for nothing. So what do you want me to do? It won't fit. So, because I've got a nice overhang there. But here, I mean, I can do, but I won't do it. It just won't work. I really want the overhang to be around there. And that's the problem I have. What I've got to do now is set that one with overhang ready, and divide and add another tile in the middle. So we'll have 1, 2, 3 tiles. So we'll have a center tile in the middle, most likely in the center with that one there. And that changes everything that's here as well. And that's why it's so important to set up your steps way ahead, thinking of adhesive, thinking of what cladding you're going to have, thinking of what LED profiles, what width. There comes 10mm, comes 20mm, so it'll be a lot easier. Setting up and prep is the hardest part, it takes the most time, but absolutely key, because like what he does now to me, it slows me down. I could have carried on that step, but I got to alter and fit that step now. So let's see how it looks with the three tiles, and that means more tiles now, so all fun. And another problem I have now is the steps are not made square to the wall. So here's about 30mm gap. That's perfect overhang in a line with everything, and he sneaks in there. The problem I have now is I got to, by the time I get to the bottom, I'll be around 40mm joint. And that there is 10mm. So what I've got to do now is really somehow push it forwards and cut 10mm there, 10mm, and also donate 10mm, so it all kind of pushes us close this end to the wall, because if this end pushes to the wall, that end won't, so the steps be wonky donkey again. Basically 10mm there, and they shoot off, and now they are square. A little gap there. What I've got to do now is, nearly fell, measure from there to there, get your measurements. Let's say that's 210 from that end to that end, divide 210 by 3, and that will give you 695. So that's 695 to the big line, that's 695, and the inner one is going to be 695. So what I've got to do now is I've got to cut there, and cut another one, same, so I'll have 1, 2, 3. and it's supposed to be 2, so but we'll have 3 now. The ways around it would be if them tiles would have been 1.2 meters length rather than 1 meter, but hey, she'll look good. 695, 695, 695 with a 3mm joint. I mean, it looks okay with 3. 2 could have been better, but 3 looks not too bad. Now I've got to start and figure out the corners and corners. I'm sure there's going to be more hurdles. So these are the corners. That piece comes out, this becomes a nice corner. That corner goes here. That's one corner done. Then another one, and another one. Then another 4 there. And then I'll think of a next plan. I wish I set these steps up myself. Now it gives me more headache, scratch, headache. Got to match the joints, but I don't think that's going to be possible. Yeah, let's cut all them corners in. That's another one in. Now I'm going to do there, 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 there. And then see what I've got to do and see what happens. She's good. And the next. So if you watched this far, I'll give you an idea how far ahead I got to think with these steps. So once it's all done, dry set, all of them I'll be marking it. All of them will have to come off. Then I'm gonna render the steps because I need to get the surface as smooth as possible so I can do with adhesive. And that's not it yet. So then what I have to do, I've got to cut all the fascias cladded first. Once that is done, then I've got LED profile going on top of the cladding, which is the porcelain cladding. Once that fascia is done, then a profile is done, then what I've got to do, I've got to install that step. Once that step is installed, then I've got to repeat the process, cladding, profile. Once the profile is in, then again, step, cladding, profile, step, cladding, profile, and so on. So got to think like 9.5 little steps ahead of it. So but it'd be worth it. Time consuming, but once it's all set up, it'd be nice and easy. Hopefully. Lovely. Close enough. Let's double look the way it looks from above. Oh yeah, it's coming together. Yeah, somehow like that. Look, I'm just winging it. Use my head somehow to create something that looks visually appealing. All these corners are straightforward, really. Perfect. Start to look like something. A lot more work to do there. One more after this, and that's corner's done. And I'm nowhere near halfway finished with these steps yet. Might look good. There's a lot left to do. Oh, I need my pad. Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-da-da-ba-ba. Need a chance on me. Dun, dun. Okay. 100. 90. $290. Just keep remembering 290. Hey, I need Stanley. Ooh, sunshine. 290. Yeah. So what I've got to remember is ruler. 290. So this is where the side of the step is. Lengthwise, I need 290 here. 290. Got one shot of this. 290. Make a line. $290. 290. 290. Something ain't ticking. It's not 290. $3.8. There you go. Thought so. It's actually $3.90. Almost going wrong. The step is $2.90. That's $2.90. This is $3.90. Sometimes you do, the closer to the end of the day gets, the less your brain can function, especially when it comes a lot of thinking and measuring. Right, $3.90. Cool. Now it's $3.90 here. $3.90. $3.90. Right. So now, spin this around. Dry cut with a steady hand. Not too deep, just to score the glaze. Now wet cut. All you need is not full wet cut. You don't want too much water. Just want a little sprinkle. So it just cools the blade down gently. What most likely going to happen is I'm going to cut here and right in the corner edge it's going to snap. It's all about knowing your tensions. Same with this one. Hasn't snapped here yet, but I can guarantee you £1,000,000 it will snap. There you go, nice and easy. Then what I'll do, take that corner out. The tiny chips, but this is going to be the back end of it, and cladding is going to go on top. So I'm not bothering really polishing much up here. The easiest way I'll do it is to take most of the chips out fast. Run the blade 45 degrees in angle backwards. Something like that. That's all it's going to do. It's going to, if you've got any chips in the future, most likely that chip can chip the glaze a lot further by chancing in that angle, polishing the corners. You got a lot less chance for you to chip further. It's the last thing you want to do, especially when everything is cladded and more or less done. Quick rinse and wipe. Real cardboard glue, which is a bit annoying, but hey, that all comes off sometimes. In theory, that should fit. It's a bit windy today, nicely, rather wind than rain. Oh, almost. Luckily, the corners are going to be polished. Lovely. Perfect. Nice. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Maybe I can cut 10mm. Yeah, I can cut 10mm off that internally a bit. How does she look? Oh, maybe now. Kind of visually check everything. Cool. It's going now. Next stage now. Easy part. It's this side. All I have to do is cut, 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 cut. Nothing here is going to change. Same thing I'm going to do with that corner. And then tackle this fascia, measure, cut, whatever. Alea. Alea. Alea, 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 alea. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, nice and easy. I'm walking in Memphis. Next one. I would say that is 870. I say 870. 855. And sometimes it's undercut, sometimes it's overcut. But when you've done it so many times, you're confident that it will fit. Usually you get it wrong the closer you get to the end of the day, because your brains just physically can't function. So that's why when it comes cutting in, you pretty much kind of only can function for 5 to 6 hours. You put that there. Right, I need to empty that because, well, I'll put, okay. It's much easier to do these when your surface at the back and at the bottom is a lot smoother, because you've got little pebbles, little highs and little lows. Lows not that bad. But again here, like 10 mil, a lot lower than that is. Meaning later stage when I do render with a fall, it should get quite close to, same as these. That's 2 mil, that's 5 mil. It's all over the place on height. Yeah, so when I do the render fall later on, it'll be a lot easier to do these. Otherwise you're going to be playing with adhesive up and down. You'll end up having 10 mil adhesive on here, a lot higher, 10 mil a lot lower, so meaning this one will have to be 20 mil adhesive notch, and that one will have to have 10 mil. So it's like, it's easy to just do the 10 mil notch all the way throughout. Bosh, bosh, flat. Simple really, if you do the prep. Right, next one. Of all these pieces, this piece was the easiest one to make. All I have to do is cut off 120. That's all, full length. It is what it is, unfortunately. But it will look good once it's all jointed and grouted. Barely won't see any smaller pieces like here. But if this was 1.2 length of tile, it'd be much easier, much better. Like one full piece. So that's why sometimes, a lot of times in fact, it's very important to know what tiles you're going to order. 1200 by 600 are my fairy ones. Yeah, lovely. A lot of times you will get unlucky by cracking the tile, but this time you will get lucky because that's the piece I need. So sometimes, what can you do? Make something out of it, like that little last piece, which is going to go about here. Yeah, let's do that. I want to sing, but I can't have a radio on. I've got a little radio in the background here. The problem what you do is copyright, and today is a bit, I mean, birds, I don't mind listening to birds, but you just want proper 90s tunes, you know. I'm a 90s kid, raised in 80s. No, I was born in 80s. Raised in 90s and partied in 2000s, in 20s. So proper 90s is a proper tune. But I enjoy listening to birds. There's a lot of them. Sometimes neighbours, sometimes listen to neighbours. Yep, 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 yep. And that's the final puzzle piece for this side. So nice and easy. My ankle's still not 100% after I damaged it. So I've got to wear these big massive arse shoes and support your ankles a bit more. Yeah. I've got a question here. Do you know when you do a favour for your mate, but that mate pays you, what do you call him? Do you call him mate? Or do you pay him? What do you call him otherwise? Customer mate, isn't it? Or mate customer, or mate client, or client mate customer. Because if you do a favour for mate and he doesn't pay you, that ain't your mate, is it? Or client mate. Paying, I'll call him paying mate customer client. That's how it's going to be identical. Not much difference on this side. Up to this point, I didn't have a clue what them steps going to look like, but now I can start to see a bit of vision and where I should cut what. And I'll give you an example. So there, more or less, we can start to see what I'm going to do. It's going to go chuk 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 chuk. I mean, that little piece annoying, but hey, chuk 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 chuk. So in theory, I'll have to cut that one down, that one, that one, that one, to also create chuk 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 chuk, and that chuk 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 chuk, because that's going to be chuk 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 chuk. So yeah, now I can start to see a bit of vision ahead of me, what they're going to look like cut wise. I'm pretty sure the bottom steps, something's going to change, but nothing's impossible. If man can't put it together, then a man can put it together. Don't think this one's going to be good. I've got a little chip there, but by the time I've got a render, and by the time I got silicone coming, so I'm like 50-50 if it's gonna fit. It happens, it's annoying. Oh no, I was wrong. This is the closer to the step work. So I've got 20mm tile coming over, so all good. Just luck. Need to cut in about, cut off 5mm. 5mm only, could be worse. Done. I'd rather cut off 5mm than short 5mm. I try to usually get 5mm joint so I can move a barrel left and right. Something like that. You can see that chip is down there, but it'll be covered with 20mm cladding. Then once I've got the render, well, that's going to be silicone joint, so yeah, next one. Next. Another 4 pieces, and then tackle the front. I managed to source a random piece over there for this piece. This one's got a bit of primer, massive chip, size of my potato yesterday. But yeah, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. I don't think I can scratch nothing out of them. Crazy paving. You never know that this is a scrap tile. Just like a new one. Time to fit, you will only know it's a scrap tile. Because I told you, whatever went wrong here, it's definitely an ex-scrap tile. But nobody will know, only me. Well, and you. That's your scrap tile. You'll never know. My mate client, well, his mum, his stepmom, left me a cookie. That's not cookie. That's a proper chocolate brownie. I'll be high after this. This is actually a piece number 19. So in total I'll have around 40 different pieces, every single one cut. So that's why it takes so much time. But for videos, especially short form, I make it look very fast and very easy. But this is the reality of them. I would say 40 pieces on there. So that's number 19. By the time I do these, I'll be close to 30. Then you got the fascias, 50 more or less. Yeah, she looks lovely. Very easy. This side, piece number 20. Bang it on. Piece number 21. Like that. Nice. Let's go and have a look what it looks like from above. Oh yeah. Let's tackle that bit in now. Best tip I can give you is when you comes doing all these steps, type cut and dry fit everything from top and work your way down. But when it becomes laying, you reverse it. So you lay from the bottom and go upwards. Especially when you go front cladded and LED profiles. If you don't understand this part, why I'm doing it like that, further down the line in video, you'll exactly see what I mean. But it's going to be worth it. At this point, I still don't know how all of this is going to pan out. One thing I can do is set at the top, equalise the, and hope somehow for the best visually. So it's visually joints are appealing. Step joints. Step back, both sides are identical, 150. Now I've got to work out the next stage. Here's a plan. So I'm going to pre-cut all the 1 meter ones, all the depths, because I really want to keep step step pattern. Don't really want to disturb them. Possibly cut a bit back, but I'm not sure. What I'm going to do is cut all of them, each step, and place them, and then stand back and watch what visually is appealing. Yeah, let's do that. Here's how to do a speed cut and measure. 385. 385. Get a nice off cut with a clean edge. Put dot to dot. Don't even mark it with a pencil. Dry score it. Full wet cut. And your perfect line. Just shows you do not need nothing special. Just a bit of board, a bit of off cut. That's absolutely must. Cordless DeWalt 54 volt. Boom, and a pencil. Nothing special really. Just knowing how to do it. Keep it simple. And these blades go pretty much forever. The thinner the blade, the better. Boom. Take them chips out. Run the blade backwards. Like a factory cut. At this point, I still don't have a clue. But let's see what it looks like. Looks like I would have to have a centre line in here. Let me know in comments what you think, because there's no other ways. So yeah, there's not going to be a centre line here. That's going to be cut. That's going to be cut, and I'll have a centre line running into that, and then I'm going to add another piece there, and then take from there, see where that runs, and that runs. Step challenge. Step after step is a challenge. Something like that. I think I've got a little plan with this. So this one here, that tile, is going to come over here. Nah, scrap the plan. Right, let's do that one. So hopefully I've got feeling that's 900. So the full more or less tile is going to fit there. Next one's going to fit there. Yeah, bottom step is going to. Every single step does something to other step. But yeah, let's dry fit everything and then step back and scratch my head. This is the thing, what people don't realise. When it comes to jobs like this, you got to use so much of your brain that your brain can only function for me. You can function about 6 hours. Otherwise, you overcook yourself and not thinking properly. So, jobs like this, I try to do just 6-7 hours per day. Otherwise, we're all humans and brains cannot function or recover for the next day. And the next day is going to be worse. It's a bit like you putting your physical work 12 hours a day. The next day, you will slow down because your body has not recovered. So you've got to kind of balance your brain cells with your physical body. But averaging 7 hours is good. Because otherwise, what could happen is you're going to be going many steps backwards because you're not thinking straight. And this is the other benefit of working by myself. I've got nobody, and I mean nobody, to distract me. Absolutely nobody. So my mind is fully 100% on the steps. What do you do today? I put my mind 100% on steps. Especially when you got to drive back home for a good hour. You still got to think how to drive and where to drive. Once I ended up in London, you know, I didn't think where I was driving, I was just driving. And London is like an hour and a half away. Self-preserve your brain cells at the end of the day so you can function by the time you get home. Then you got to cook it. Then then you go to wash it, then you go to edit it. So you add it all together, and then you go to sleep, and when you sleep you're like a vegetable. So if it's 900, then I'm going to place against this joint, overhang on this, and take off 50. Yeah, so I'm going to take off 50 mil of this tile and a 50 mil of this tile, and the joint is going to be around here, which is kind of more or less in the center. Right, let's go and get it. But I'm not going to cut it yet. But I'm not going to do nothing with it yet. I'm just going to set up everything visually, and then visually think and act. Shabba, Mr. Lava Day. So a few more pieces. Yeah, I will not get a centre line on this bottom step. 2 more cuts and see where that will take me. I've got a little plan before I carry on anything else. So visually, what happens is that is 150, that is 150, this ain't 150, and that ain't 150. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up to 150 this tile, about here. Is that 150? About here. Then move this one 150, 150 won't do, because if I move 150, what's this then? Is that 150? No, that's about 90, spot on 90. So that means I've got to move 150, be fine, not going to notice it, not going to notice it. Gonna have a centre line, 90. So what I'll do is, to make them as equal as possible, gonna move this one 45 there and this one 45 there. Measurement wise it's wrong, but with the eye, to be fair, you won't notice the 100 millimeters. So that's 45, this side 45. All I have to do now is move this one 45. There. Okay. $45 this one. Let's say 45 this one. $45 this one. Cut 45 and cut that one off. That line, in theory, should be centre line and double measure shore with that step to that point. Then the bottom one, there's not much I can do apart from centralise the big piece, put it on top and cut them off. I think so. Yeah, best I can do. Oh, hello, didn't even see you there. This is 270. This is 220. To me, to you, to me, to you. And now we have 250. And now we have 180. 250, 250. Lovely. 250, 250. So now that piece and that piece, I'm going to try to get the joint line in a center. That's center. Let's have a look what it looks like from above. Joint line and joint line. Joint line and joint line. Not much I can do really. But once it's all grouted, the dark of the joint will disappear. And you pretty much won't be able to see it more or less. But yeah. One more tile. Then I just literally double, kind of make sure I measure and cut before I cut, double. Take it out, boom, place it, done. That's the hardest part done. Then I've got to remove them all. Somewhere in here I'm going to place it. Then onto the render. That's when I'll be able to tell and measure what type of cladding I need. More or less going to be 125 mil fascia. So each step potentially is going to be about 150 mil from the highest point to the lowest point. And then lay them all at one. I'm hoping to lay all that in one day. That includes the steps, that includes the cladding and LED profiles all at one time. But that's going to be most likely on a different video. I just wanted on this video to showcase how I set up personally. In my opinion, from experience and knowledge, this is the easiest way with no stress, no rush, nothing. You know exactly, and you're still able to move and play around with all of them however you want it, rather than lay, cut, lay, cut, lay, cut, lay. It's absolutely ball ache. You're never going to get that precision. And I'm kind of looking at the final finished product, what it's going to look like, and just making it easier. But yeah, let's get the other one in, and should be good to go. I'm going to push string line here right to the very end, and that's when I'm going to push out and level everything so it's in a line. Because last thing I'm going to do, because all of these joints are square cut, square, square, so I really want to know which side of the step isn't square. So string lines will make all the difference. Right, this one can come out here. All you really want is a few mil away from the line. Everything that much easier. Because last thing I'm going to do is, when it comes laying, get a grinder out. It's almost like movie set. You set everything fakely up to make it look as realistic as you can, and then take it all apart. But in this case, it's the reality. Other bit I'd like to do is you go back and look through the camera, because the camera usually shows imperfections a lot more than in reality. So camera makes it more perfection. Oh shit, my hand just slipped. Take pretty much 5 mil off that. It happens. Well, Russian style. I need a bigger square, I think. the 5mm I never get back. But that 5mm is like can of worms. You take a 5mm off, you got to grow 5mm somewhere. That's the 5mm undercut it. Oh well. But the problem is now, this joint ain't in line with that joint. So do I recut it all the other ways? I lose 5mm. I cut 5mm off that one and just shift the all 5mm. By shifting all the 5mm, I will grow the 5mm with the same line of joints. The reality of losing 5mm joints, then you got to think ahead. That's a bit of can of worms, and that's the can of worms. I'll get off 10mm. This is what I'm going to cut off, 10mm. As I said earlier in the video, the later to the day comes, the less your brain functions, the less needs you become, and that's where I went wrong. Just didn't think properly, and the grinder just went, well. So now I'm wasting 10 minutes just fixing my own creation problem, of the problem creation, but there's always a solution to a problem. If there's a problem, there's always a solution to it. So hopefully, when I took that piece out, that tile's got a bit of a joint, which is 15mm, which is fine. I don't think I'll have to cut that. I'll just shift that 5mm there, 5mm there, and I just carry on doing what I was doing. I'd rather lose 5mm off this edge than recut the new tile. That'll be absolutely pointless. So I reckon this is now, lost this 5mm, but I'm not going to notice the difference. It happens. Of all of it, that's the after effect. By cutting in every single piece individually, it'll fit. That's okay. That's okay as well. I can just move this one. Lovely. And that's how she's done. Give her rinse. And I'll show you what it looks like when she's clean. Just to cut in steps. That's only 50% of waste. That's just for the steps. But boy, well, did I say boy? But she looks good. Works out quite nice. I'm going to go to the top somehow, but it gives you an idea. Stay there. This is how I damaged my ankle, didn't I? Last time. It's the best I could do with what I've got. Them two double joints don't look that bad in the centre. So I've got step, step pattern, step, 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 step pattern. They're not exactly the same width. Same on that side, not exactly the same width. Step, step, and kind of, yeah, best I could do with these size of tiles without making any tiles too little. As you can remember from the start, this only supposed to be 2 tiles rather than 3. But I head off home now, and I'll see you tomorrow for part 2 video where I'm going to remove all the tiles and I'm going to render all. Let me get down the bottom. So this is what I've got to render all of it tomorrow. Should be easy. 2 coats, most likely reinforced mesh as well. So I've got to put some beads on that wall, on corners. Render all of that, render, face of the steps most likely I'll do as well while I'm at it. It's just going to be a lot smoother and more flatter for the tiles to go on it with adhesive. Then I'm going to create the folds on it with the render all of that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this painful, I wouldn't say it's painful, I would say if you get the right steps it's easy, and the way I'm going to do it, it's going to be quite easy as well. I've just got a picture in my mind how I'm going to do it. So join me for the part 2. If you feel I'm random too. I believe I'm random. That's why my wife married me. She thinks I'm random. She says, I'll marry that guy, he's random.